Hello and welcome to my video on how to make speakers, or to be more exact, this speaker case. The things you will need are pliers, a screwdriver, a drill, a saw, plywood. You probably want bigger pieces. These are just some scraps I had around. And some old speakers to use in your speaker case. I am sorry about the quality of the rest of the video, but I was using an ancient camera that really kind of sucked. So, yeah. Let's begin. When you start, you want to have a plan. You want to take a piece of paper and draw out everything you want to make. I use A3 paper to be able to see everything in 1:1 scale so that it'll be easier for me to see what I want to have as a finished product. You can see me cutting out the pieces from the plywood. You want to do this very carefully. You may want to make sure that you're cutting straight so that in the end everything is straight when you glue it together. You can see me here sawing on two boards because I don't really have any fancy equipment or anything. I just like doing DIY projects as they come into my head, and this video is kind of a spur of the moment idea. After you've cut out the pieces, you want to take them and carefully line out all the centers where your speakers are going to be, where you're going to be drilling holes for bolts and or screws if you're using them. You can see me carefully drawing out everything that I'm going to need. I'm just using a ruler and a pencil to draw out everything that I need, and you really want to be careful when you do this so that everything aligns perfectly. You can see me constantly checking with the speakers themselves and the control panel with the on-off button and the volume knob. This part is really important so that later when you put everything together it's perfectly, and you don't have to make any unsightly holes. I even checked my drill bit to make sure that it fits my speakers. Now, after you've done that, you can begin drilling. As you can see here, I started by drilling the center hole for my speakers that I'm later going to make larger so that I can cut it out. Then made holes for all of my bolts that I'm going to use to keep the speakers and control panel in place. You have to be very careful with this part to make sure that the hole goes exactly where you put your marker so that everything aligns perfectly once again. It takes a while, but it's important for the process. After that, you can start making the hole bigger so that you can put your saw into it. This part for me took a lot of trial and error because I wasn't sure how I was going to cut out the hole. I don't have a specialized hacksaw that would be useful in this sort of situation. So I was just using a specialized drill bit to make the hole wider to fit the saw that I had. It takes forever, but it was necessary for me, so it might be better if you buy actually specialized instruments like drill bits or hacksaws and use them the way you're supposed to, but I work with what I have. Now you can see me starting the sawing process. Like I said before, my hacksaw is too small to be of any real use, but I kind of didn't notice that when I started, so I was working with it for a while, and it cuts through wood really well, but it's really too small for this project, so it's basically pretty useless. After that, I decided to make the hole bigger and use a bigger hacksaw that's really designed for cutting pipes. which also works wonderfully, but it also turned out to be too small to be able to reach what I needed. So eventually I completely changed my tactic and used basically a different saw and perforated the hole so that I could break out pieces of it, which you will see later in this video. You can see me trying to use this saw, which was really kind of uncomfortable and kind of useless, but it got the job done, or at least cut half of the circle that I needed. All of my projects really use or take a lot of trial and error, like I already said, but I would like to reiterate that how important trial and error is for my projects, and that's what makes them fun. Now you can see me making the hole bigger again. I did this to use the green saw that's laying in the bottom right corner of my table next to the sewing machine. This project I spent a lot of time just making holes in wood bigger, which is kind of boring but really important for this project because speakers need for sound to come out of somewhere, and that's basically what the holes are for. Now you can see what I've done. I've basically just perforated the whole circle around the hole that I want. Well, a little bit smaller than the hole I want in the end. And I just used pliers to break out smaller cut up pieces to create the hole that I was talking about. And this process might be a little boring, but I found it fun to do, and basically all that's left to do is cut up smaller pieces to be able to break them out of the perforated circle. Well, that's all the time I have. I'll finish this in the next video, so please like, comment, and subscribe. And remember to keep making things.